and gentlemen, honorable speakers, guests, students, and all participants, Faculty of Economics and Business, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University proudly present an international webinar. Business Transformation Post-Pandemic Towards Sustainable Development Goals Enhancement. This day, March 28, 2023. Good morning to all of you. May peace be upon us. Broadcasting live from Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University, Jakarta, Indonesia, using virtual platform on Zoom meeting. You can also access this webinar on our YouTube channel at Universitas Bayangkara Jakarta Raya. Let's join and get a valuable and usable knowledge from this webinar. In this occasion, we are honored to welcome Dean of Faculty of Economics and Business, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University, Honorable Dr. Dewi Puspaningtyas Vaini, Bachelor of Science, Master of Business Administrations, and all key officials from Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. We are honored to welcome all the speakers, Honorable Professor Eunice Maret Curol Aurela, PhD, Dean Management and Entrepreneurship and Director for USC Angelicum College, Manila, Philippines. Honorable Professor Dr. Silham El Kalavi, Director from University of Bolokokai, New Zealand. Honorable Dr. Insinyur Amelia Naim, Head of CSMSR, International Business School, Jakarta, Indonesia. Honorable Professor Ruben Burga, MBA, PhD, University of Guelph, Canada. We are so proud to have Honorable Dr. David Pangaribuan, SA, MSc, Head of Accounting Master Study Program, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. Honorable Mrs. Rati P. Kunoro, Student of Management Science Doctoral Study Program, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. Honorable Dr. Hadita SPD, MM, Head of Management Study Program, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. All webinar lecturers and participants from attending universities, participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, please kindly adopt accordingly to respect our Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you. Honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, now let's pray together to express our blessings and gratitude to Almighty God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And this prayer will be led by Mr. Cahyadi Husada.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you, messages and blessings. Good morning, best wishes Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The Honorable ladies and gentlemen, who are blessed by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, ask permission to carry out the acts of reciting prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, who are non-Muslim can pray with their teaching and belief. For those who are Muslims, we sincerely ask you to be able to agree. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Dan syakirin, saminahin, dan ni'amahu ikasih majidah. Ya Rabbana laka syukru kama yang bahi. Jalan Ya Allah, God Almighty, we thank you for all teachers who pray in us. Today we can gather in international generation lecture with the themes business transformation post-pandemic toward SDGs organization by Faculty of Economics and Business, the University of Bayangkara Jakarta Raya on this below campus through online media Zoom meeting. Ya Allah, God, who is always compassionate to every servant, give you us mercy and compassion, sprinkle us with your true love, so that we can always love our family and for all tasks and function in our life, and life become a charity to us. Allahumma illa nas'aluka ilman nafi'an, rizqan tayyiban, amalan mutaqabbalan. Allahumma fir lana warhamna inna wa'afina warahmah. Ya Allah, verily we ask you for knowledge that is beneficial, love to suspense, and that's a great accepted by you to get the best reward from you. Ya Allah, forgive us, have mercy on us, with us, save us from various diseases, and grant us abundance, settlement, and blessing. Ya Allah, Lord, admit offer all to إلا كل شيء. We are happy for all good collaboration and friendship. I hope you will make this activity and this collaboration will be progress for us so that we are given the ability, readiness, and ability in the framework of efforts to extend our beloved campus to become a campus superior. Ya Allah, Mahi al-Hikmataka, God the wise Lord, with your wisdom, we gather, faithfully, work, and hope that you will provide confidence and sometimes in all of our affairs and to all knowledge, and give intelligence to us, and glorify the victory of our life to achieve superior individuals, and make this whole proud comes superior. Amin ya rabbal alamin. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Thank you, sir, for leading the prayer. May God always be upon us. Honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to invite the Dean of Faculty of Economics and Business, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Your Honorable Dr. Dewi Puspaningtyas Vaini, Bachelor of Science, Master of Business Administrations. Time is yours.
Prof, you are muted. Thank you very much. Miss Alida. You are such a nice MC and very professional. Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our distinguished rector of University Bayangkara, our distinguished vice rectors of University Bayangkara, our distinguished vice deans and faculty of Economics and Business of University Bayangkara. And of course, our distinguished and honorable speakers, Professor Dr. Eunice Erola, Professor Dr. Shelley Young, Professor Dr. Sheham Al-Kafafi, Professor Dr. Amelia Nai, Professor Dr. Ruben Burga, my beloved fellow lecturers and faculty of Economics and Business in the University of Bayangkara. And of course, our undergraduate and postgraduate students of Universitas Bayangkara Jakarta Raya that I'm very proud of in that. First of all, I would like to welcome every one of you to this international seminar on business transformation post-pandemic toward the SDGs enhancement. A very warm welcome to all. Well, my name is Dewi, and I'm the Dean of Faculty of Economics and Business, and I'm very delighted to be here with you today at the opening of this event. And I would like to thank all of the organizers for their hard work, their artless efforts and dedication in putting this seminar together by inviting such wonderful professional speakers from various countries. And I would like to extend, of course, our heart's appreciation and gratitude to our honorable speakers for sharing this knowledge of how to enhance SDGs, all the situation for post-pandemic. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and valuable experiences to share your insights and perspectives in how to enhance and develop SDGs. Well, we are here gathered today to learn, exchange ideas, and collaborate on how to create innovative businesses, strategies, and models that promote sustainability and pursue the United Nations SDGs. As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has had an undeniable impact on the businesses and industries around the world and will continue to do so in the foreseeable future. Thus, it is our responsibility to catalyze, nurture new changes that can lead to a more sustainable and ethical business environment. Well, secondly, this webinar is indeed an eye-opener for all of us of how knowledge can be borderless for all of us too. Both lecturers and students can be able to practice analysis and evaluate on the improvement as education agents of development. Well, in this field, we can both analyze and apply laws, regulation relating to those pandemic situations. We can educate ourselves about the establishment process and the role of researchers and education's experiences in improving the national SDGs gain in the economic sectors for uplifting the prosperity of all in the world to be able to create a better place to live. Thirdly, Universitas Bayangkara Jakarta Raya or University of Bayangkara is collaborating with your esteemed universities, ladies and gentlemen, honorable speakers, and we look forward to developing collaboration and student exchange, double degrees, joint webinars, joint researches, and therefore we are looking forward to once again that we can develop mutual collaborations, ladies and gentlemen, post-pandemic to be more fruitful collaboration in regards of all this agenda mentioned before. Well, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, on behalf of the Rector of University of Bayangkara and the Faculty of Economics and Business, we look forward to receiving more prospective science and stronger joint collaboration with your esteemed institutions. Well, everyone, wishing you a very successful webinar to all of you. And I would announce this webinar is officially open. Thank you. Sending our warmest regards to everyone. Sincerely yours. Thank you very much, Ms. Alida. I will give back to you. Time is yours.
Good morning, Dr. Dewey. Can you hear me?
Hi.
And also Professor,
Yes, Dr.
student,
Shirley.
and our honorable participant. Hi. So right now I'm in Bangkok, United Nations Conference Center, and we are celebrating about SDGs Acceleration Pavilion together with SGAP, Economic and Social Affairs in Asia Pacific 75. So this is the day 2, and I have a booth in here, which is about art, business, and transformation with a new business model. So the story about how are we going to do it? So since 2015, when I first already got the pioneer professor in SDGs, almost about 8 years now. And then we are going to explore, not just only measure the indicators of SDGs 169. I focus on number 4.7, knowledge transfer. So this is the key area. But for the assignment, for the exposure of the students, we need to link up with other SDGs. So the next one will be linked up to 8, economic impact. Because we focused on under COVID-19 for about 3 years, how are we going to get some job can be hybrid, online, offline, and applying digital transformation. And the second thing is to integrate SDGs number 9, innovations. And as Dr. Dewey mentioned about partnership, collaborations, so that is SDG 17. But before the SDG 8, 9, and also 17, the 2 major SDGs related to ESG is very important. Because in a school of business, we're talking about environmental, social governance. So ESG's compliance will be the trend. However, for younger generation, because they haven't need to work in the listed company yet, they don't know too much about ESGs, how they are relevant to SDGs. Can you hear?
Excuse me, Dr. Shirley. Yeah. Maybe we can continue after the discussion or presentation. Yes.
Okay.
Now,
so I just finished one line. So in my opening will be, I just talk about enhancement will be combining SDGs together with ESGs plus art element.
Sure. So we can continue when your time in presentations after this. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Shirley. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Shirley. Excuse me. Thank you, Honorable Dr. Dewi Puspaningtyas, for the welcoming speech, which already officially opened our webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue to the main sessions, let's have a documentation first. So I would like to ask to all of you to activate your camera and be ready on your screen so we can capture the picture this morning, slide by slide. So I will start and count from slide number 1. Are you ready on your screen so we can capture your picture? 1 and 2 and 3. So open your mask. And 4. All right. Thank you. Now, let us continue to the main session. So I would like to invite our moderator today, Honorable Dr. Heni Rohaini, SOS MM. Dr. Heni is lecturer at the Faculty of Economic and Business. Well, Mrs. Heni, please kindly lead the session that will be followed with discussion after the presentation of all the speakers today. Time is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much to Assam Master of Ceremony, Ms. Alina. Good morning to our webinar participants in Indonesia, Hong Kong, and Philippines, and good evening to all participants in Canada and New Zealand. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan to all webinar participants who have joined the webinar and the Faculty of Economic and Business Bayangkara Jakarta University, which on this occasion took the theme Business Transformation Post-Pandemic toward SDGs Achievement. Please allow me, Henny, as the moderator of this webinar to guide the course of the webinar. We are honored to have a standing keynote speaker for this webinar. Before I start, I will convey the rule of the webinar. The speaker presentation will be divided into two sessions. The presentation is the 50 minutes, and each session there will be Q&A. To our webinar participant, we will enter a webinar session. I will read the curriculum vitae of the first speaker. Okay. The first speaker is the Professor Seliung, PhD EMA from Gratia Christian College, Hong Kong. Professor Seliang, EMA Approved Sustainability Practitioner, Experience ISO 9000 Principal Auditor, AKIP Assessor US, HKCAA VK Subject Specialist, and QMS Lead Auditor of the HKCAA Hong Kong. Associate Professor HKISD Registered Hypnotherapist, US CMA Australia. Her research interests cover UN SDGs, Sustainable Development, Quality Management System, Corporate Social Responsibility, Management and Marketing, has a publication in national and international journal. The second speaker was Professor Eunice Maret Quirol Arola PhD HSG, Dean Management and Entrepreneurship and Director for Academic Affairs, USC Angelicum College, Manila, Philippines. She is an author, a global speaker, a publicist, cross-cultural research, an innovation coach, a sociability mentor, and a lifelong education advocate. She is earning her Doctor of Philosophy in Management with the focus on the corporate governance from the University of the St. Gallen, Switzerland. Dr. Arola is currently the Director for Academic Affairs and College, Dean of the US Team Angelicum College of Philippines. And then the third speaker was the Professor Siham El Kapapi, VST Director and Business Consultant, Oral Research Consultancy Limited, New Zealand. Professor Dr. Siham El Kapapi is the founder of Oral Research Consultancy Limited. She is an entrepreneur, educator, and businesswoman who is passionate about making a difference in the life of the student and client. Prof. Dr. El Kafafi is the public and motivational speaker who is invited as keynote speaker at conference and national and international event. She has over 100 publications in referred journal article, book chapter, and conference proceeding, beside being on the editorial board of various national and international journal. The fourth speaker is the Professor Dr. Insinyur Amelia Naim, Head of CSMSR, IPNI International Business School, Jakarta, Indonesia. Professor Dr. Insinyur Amelia, she is a master and trainer, a motivator, writer, and lecturer on the business management, leadership and integrity, spirit at work, sustainability mindset and innovation, good corporate governance, communication, business ethics, et al. Professional experience as the speaker and motivator for various seminar, executive gathering, and executive development program at IPNI International Business School, the University of Indonesia, Griffin University in Brisbane, Australia, Colegio de San Juan de Letran, Manila, CCSI from Hang Seng Management College, Hong Kong, and the other prestigious company. The last speaker in the first session was the Professor Ruben Burga, MBA, PhD from the University of Kilcourt, Canada. Professor Ruben, he is trained as the mechanical engineer with the experience in high-tech manufacturing and the new business development in the both business to customer, business to business environment, professional engineering in the business development, and executive management of the multicultural and multidisciplinary team in a variety of organizational setting and structure in Canada, USA, South Asia, Europe, and Latin America. Focus interest in organizational leadership and management issue in the context of social entrepreneurship and viewing through the lens of the knowledge transfer, stakeholder theory, and accounting principle and their effect of the performance management control system in the context of the project management and organizational leadership. Scholarship of teaching and the learning and the intersection with sustainability and project management. Okay, that is a very extraordinary keynote speaker, and thank you for your joining us. For that, I invite the first keynote speaker, Prof. Serliang. Okay, Prof. Serliang, time is yours.
Thank you, Mrs.
Okay, I invite the first keynote speaker, Professor Serliang.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, clear.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. So right now I'm in the United Nations Conference Center, and this is our booth. And the innovations and also transformation by using SDGs and also ESGs for education will be, you can see at the back here, what we need to do will be understand about SDGs, selected a few goals, and integrate into the curriculum design and also the assessment. And then after that, the reason why we have the painting and also visual art, visual presentation is very important, because we understand that wellness will be coming from about motivate your mood to have positive and energy. So in the past 3 years, I've been using Zoom to teaching some students and youth and women in Kenya and also Cameroon for drawing about Chinese painting. And then you can see here about their drawing. And then the focus will be about lotus and some of the endangered species. So the reason why, because we focus on inclusion and also diversity. So this is about 4.7 knowledge transfer. We're using technology to transfer about Chinese, the calligraphy painting. And that is not the ending point. The ending point is after we transfer the knowledge to them, and then we do spatial I/O. You can see here, in the spatial I/O, we have the virtual gallery with all the paintings from different parts of the world. Together, we have movie production. So using movie, book publication, everything is converted from textual into visual. So if you combine textual, visual with the student as a community for the product, and finally, all the product is very unique. We can put onto NFT. So the focus of today is using NFT, non-fungible token, as a service for fundraising. And then after we have the painting, all those, we give the student maybe a kind of artist. They can be artists. And after that, get their consensus, we can put the painting and a very unique photograph or anything onto NFT with blockchain, Web 3.0. So as a professor, you need to keep on learning something new and then put into your curriculum and engage with different stakeholders in different parts of the world, just like maybe Dr. Dewey also joined our lectures, and also Professor Amelia and Professor Eunice. So finally, when we write the disclosure report, or maybe our annual report, how we can enhance the SDGs will be, we have outcomes. And these kind of outcomes, the painting, all those can be on NFT for fundraising. In the last week, about 3 days, we got almost 80% all sold out. So, and then finally, we can have part of the proceeds to help developing country. So for the circular green economy will be upscaled. From the very beginning, we need to think about what material we're going to use. think about the process for integration, collaboration with SDGs and ESGs. And then after the process with the integration, collaboration, innovations, the output will be transformation. We transform how to do business. Business will be number one, by experiment. You need to engage yourself as a professor how to generate income. What will be the pricing strategies? What kind of service or product you can offer together with students? Don't forget our teenagers, our youngsters, and also maybe mid-age community like women from different parts of the world. Once you engage them, the service can be distributed to other countries, and then you can gain revenue. But the thing for SDGs number 12, responsible production and consumption, think about how we can have a fair distribution of the income. And then finally, the stakeholder can be a triple business model. So my SDGs, ESGs, together with art, life, business will be a new transformative model. So after the UN ESCAP of this week, and then April the 9th to 11th, we have the solo physical art exhibition in Tai Kwun, Hong Kong, which is the heritage building. So this is to accelerate about not just only SDGs, about ESGs, disclosure, what are the good practices that we can share into different countries. So this is the poster.
Okay.
So thank you so much for the kind invitation from Dr. Dewey, and also connecting with professors and students from Jakarta, Indonesia. We have almost about 500 participants joining today. So if you are willing to apply art, business, technology for build a new business model, welcome to contact me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Hope your event is a successful one of today. And it's a very historical moment because we are in Bangkok right now, UNCC building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Shirley. Thank you very much. We can hear your very interesting explanation. Thank you for Professor Shirley for the presentation. Okay, our second speaker, I invite Professor Siham Elkapa PPSD, Director and Business Consultant Arrow Research Consultancy Limited, New Zealand. Prof. Siham, time is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I would like to extend my gratitude and thanks to the conference organizers. It's an honor and a pleasure here in New Zealand to join with you. That is the beauty of technology, to discuss with you the business transformation post the pandemic that we have been hit with, all of us. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, clear. Okay, we do.
I'm trying, to enlarge it. Okay, so the title of my presentation today is Aligning Your Business Strategies with the SDGs, the case of New Zealand. So I'm going to give a little bit of a small introduction about what COVID-19 did to us. How did it impact business, research results? And then also, there are opportunities that happened. It's not all doom and gloom. There is some rosiness in the skies. And what is sustainable development here in New Zealand? And some reporting on the SDG findings from companies here and in Australia. Also, some two cases to share with you about New Zealand, and then provide a model that we are proposing right now to be used for the roadmap for a recovery. So an introduction is that, we are all here talking about sustainability, sustainable development. What are we going to use and leave for our future generations? Sustainable development has been defined as the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So regardless, what is the size of your business? Is it small, medium, or large? we need to follow sustainable business practices because it is not anymore nice to have. So in order to be competitive here in New Zealand and overseas and worldwide, globally, we actually need to give sustainability the priority. It will be appealing to your customers, to investors, to retailers, whatever type of business or field you are in. So this is to report on some of the findings of research. How did COVID-19 affect all over the different sectors of industries? It was found that 78% respondents acknowledge that the pandemic had actually negative impact on them. As we all know, we were affected by the lockdowns and that disturbed businesses. So there was difficulty to connect between the businesses and the customers, and that led, of course, to reduction in the spending and also decreasing the productivity because lots of people were still trying to get used to working from home, and not everybody was technologically savvy. Also, there was a big decline in the travel. So the travel industry, the tourism industry was also hit badly. And we also had to be careful with social distancing, and everybody started to cut on budget. We were in a phase we didn't know where we're heading, what we are going, and what's going on. Of course, that led to a sharp drop in the sales for organizations, and also there was an increase in the costs in order for organizations to improve their digital platforms, in order to be able to quickly use the latest technology to make communications and contacts. We would find that most of our communication started to shift from face-to-face to online, video calls, virtual platforms like the one we're using right now. And also everybody, some people, it was adequate for them. Some people, it was not adequate. It depended, of course, if they needed face-to-face, because lots of customers needed to have more trust, more commitment with this initial meeting, face-to-face one. Having said that, there were a lot of benefits and opportunities that cropped up, and lots of businesses flourished as a result of COVID-19. And this is due to also the digital technology sector, which improved some of the customer services, and there were new products. So there's a lot of innovation and a lot of entrepreneurial work that has been going around. Some of these opportunities were in e-commerce, online education, telemedicine. Most of us now started communicating with our GPs and doctors via Zoom or on phone. We also started using a lot the digital payment platforms, which made it flourish. The digital communication tools like Zoom, like Google Meet, like lots of other medias. Also the delivery industry, because of the social distancing, the digital media, social media is thriving. TikTok, WhatsApp, Instagram, all of those that we are all familiar with. And also the fitness industries, they started providing classes on Zoom for their clients too. So here, what's happening here with sustainable development in New Zealand, it actually consists of 4 different pillars, and I'm sure other countries the same: economical, environmental, social, and cultural. And in order to evaluate the sustainable development of projects and operations, there are several metrics that are available holistically worldwide. The economical and the environmental pillars are very easy actually to quantify, so they are easy to measure. But what is tricky actually is the social and cultural pillars, They are very difficult because you cannot quantify them, and especially the cultural peril, because, for example, here in New Zealand, we have a lot of nationalities, a lot of ethnicities, a lot of cultural backgrounds, and everybody views things from their own cultural beliefs. So we have to also be careful with that. So why are we here today? To discuss what is the SDGs, how it's been applied. So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as we all know, it's providing a global blueprint for dignity, peace, and prosperity for the people and the planet now and in the future. So its aim is to transform our world for a better, of course, world. It's a call to action to end poverty, inequality, protect the planet, ensure that people enjoy health, justice, and prosperity. In other words, nobody left behind, all of us to be included. So why is it important for us to incorporate the SDGs in our business? It will help us actually, especially with the aspect of social and environmental priorities. There are 17 goals, as we all know, but any organization cannot use them all at once. Each organization should be using the ones that are most relevant to them in order to do their best for their staff, their customers, and their suppliers. In other words, to be more focused. And I will provide to you 2 examples from case studies here in New Zealand to demonstrate how this has been applied. So if we are focused in incorporating our SDG, that could help organizations and businesses to deal with the challenges and to be able to become more innovative. It will also help them to engage and motivate their employees. It will open new markets and opportunities, and it's also a means of future-proofing the company against all these risks and volatile things that's happening in our world nowadays. So in the company's reporting, it has been looked at, one of those reports on the New Zealand and the Australian market, and the findings said that 56% of the top 10 Australian Securities Exchange and New Zealand Stock Exchange listed companies reported on their SDGs in annual and sustainable reports. Also, the most common reporting was on goal number 13, which is to do with climate action, goal number 8, decent work and economic growth, and goal 5, gender equality. Those are hot cakes nowadays. The least common SDGs reported on were goal 1, poverty, goal 6, clean water, and goal 14, life below water. The most detail was found in reports from companies with KPIs and quantitative targets that was assigned to each of the SDGs, and this is actually a recommended approach to follow. So that figures demonstrates to you all the integration of the SDG strategies in both Australia and New Zealand. So what does that figure tells us actually is that 50% of all the companies have selected the SDG for decent work and economic growth, which is SDG 8, as you can see. And all but 2 organizations have selected climate action, SDG 13, no poverty, SDG 1, and green water, SDG 6, were chosen 3 times more often in Australia than in New Zealand. Zero hunger, SDG 2, has been selected twice as often in Australia than in New Zealand. So now let us look at the 2 case studies from here, from New Zealand. And the first one I would like to share with you is Raglan Food Co. Raglan is the name of one of our cities here by the shore in New Zealand. So Raglan Food Co. Makes coconut yogurt. It is really, really yummy. And the purpose of this organization and its value is to provide products that environmentally friendly and also to be of value for the consumers. The company identified 3 SDGs that are most aligned to its values and focused its sustainability strategy on them. They are SDG 15, life on land, SDG 8, a decent work and economic growth, and SDG 3, good health and well-being. So let us look at the first one, SDG 15, life on land. Their mission is to accelerate the shift to a plant-based diet and prevent the emissions associated with the traditional dairy products. And they found that goal 15 fits very well. So how did they do that? By becoming carbon zero certified, by using recycled materials where possible in operations, and moving away from disposable plastics. For SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, it was also related to their mission, and they identified this by contributing, being a certified living wage employer, capping the highest salaries to no more than 3 times of the lowest paid worker, providing upskilling and development opportunities regularly to their team, to their employees, maintaining internal health and well-being funds, allocating percentage of their profit to their employees. In relation to SDG 3, good health and well-being, of course, it is a food product and it impacts what we put in our health and our well-being. So what they did is that they have 2 challenges that they offer to motivate the people. The first one is called the Game Challengers Challenge. And this is to us Kiwi couples. We refer to New Zealanders here by the word Kiwi. So challenging Kiwi couples to eat only plant-based food for 1 month. The other one is supporting food charities like Eat My Lunch. That's the name of the charity. The other example of the case that I wanted to share with you is BioFab. And this is a biotech startup using fungi and mycelium to replace single-use polystyrene. They used SDGs as a framework for building their sustainability strategies. And those are their 3 choices, which is relevant and related to their mission. SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, and SDG 13, climate action, and again, SDG 15, life on land. And we are all familiar what are the requirements of all those 3 goals. So how they did it is that they created targets and indicators for tracking their progress of each of its main goals. And the main thing was being a carbon neutral business. That was their main goal and aim they built on their action. Now, the model that I was speaking about, in order for this stage enduring the recovery from the COVID for small businesses, especially here in New Zealand, we are well known as one of the countries that has got the highest number of small businesses in the world. So to bridge the crisis of COVID-19 and the Foundation for Business, Deloitte actually were the ones who developed that 3-phase model, reflect, restart, and revitalize. So we need to learn lessons from what happened. We need to identify what was happening with our business. We need to think about it. What worked well, what didn't work, what did we learn about it, what did we miss in our response. And then once we'll be able to do this, then we would have a better plan in order to restart our business, in order to be able to relaunch it, to reopen it. Because here in New Zealand, lots, as many other countries, lots of businesses closed down because of COVID-19. So we need to look to restart. What do we need? What are our priorities in order to relaunch and restart, and then start revitalizing through these priorities. Once we identify them and then we would launch the business, we need to have a balance in order to be able to do that. So also, there are 6 areas within this recovery roadmap that we can look at as a business to use the reflect, restart, and revitalize. We need to understand our customers. Now, there has been a shift. There has been a lot of change. The customers need changed, everybody. As we say, the new normal that we are living, you need to look at that. You all getting your cash flow in order. How are you going to do that? Or pre-organizing your supply chain. Everything has changed. Rethinking also your workforce, your employees, the skills that's required, what is needed, and also the importance of technology. So how are you going to digitalize your organization? What have you learned from COVID? And also what has changed our workplace? So these are the 6 areas that any business can look at. So in conclusion, to successfully advance in solving business problems, we need to develop new methods of thinking, thinking outside the box. We need to be more innovative, to elaborate in new moral and value criteria, and also different patterns of behavior. Also, efficiencies will come from proactively transforming how we do our business in order to survive in this new normal. Development involves a progressive transformation of economy and society. So let's all work together towards a more sustainable future for the coming generations. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Siham. Your explanation is very interesting. Thank you for the presentation. Okay, let the process to the third speaker, Professor Eunice Maret Querol Airola, PhD, HSC, Dean Management and Entrepreneurship, and Director for Academic Affairs, UST Angelicum College, Manila, Philippines, for the presentation. Professor Eunice, time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Good morning. So it's a pleasure to join you, fellow academicians, in this seminar this morning on business transformation post-pandemic towards SDG enhancement. I'm very happy to join you from Manila, Philippines, from my institution, UST Angelicum College. Our topic for this morning that I would like to share with you as we talk about sustainability is the issue of resiliency. And as I move along with the discussion, I would like to answer the 3 questions on this topic of resiliency, the questions of why, when, and how. And as a person from the academic, I'd like to begin always with the question of why, because anything that we do must have a very clear purpose. And for people like us who work in the academy, but at the same time work together with people in the corporate scene, we must be able to translate whatever we study in the classroom, whatever we research on the ground, and make it applicable and appealing for those who will eventually be the one using it in the form of corporate policies. So our case study, our discussion will be revolving around resilient workplace in sustainable cities. I've always been talking about SDG number 4, which is quality education for all. But for today, I'd like to, move a bit into SDG number 11, and this is about sustainable cities and communities, which translates later on to SDG number 8, which is decent work for all. And I think that is the very essence of why we teach in the business school, to ensure that industries would be well propelled, well managed in the future by the students that we have today. So why are we doing it? Because adjustments must be made in the light of the recent events. And if you will, answer the question when, I think the common answer would be now. There is no way that we should delay all of this that we are doing towards sustainability. And how do we do it? We do it by embracing the whole idea of resiliency. The thing about changes in our community, in the dynamics of where we live, is that we always take a look at chaos points, and these chaos points eventually converts to what are we going to change in the way we live, in the way we work, in the way we decide. In the academy, we call this inflection points, and the COVID-19 was one very good example of an inflection point. It's something that allowed us to change the way we think, to change the way we will discover new things, to change the way we'll adopt and ensure that everything goes well and even better after COVID. So the words are disruption, disparity, degradation, disconnection, and discontent. And these are not my words. These are the words of Professor Wayne Visser and Professor Chris Laszlo, when they talked about that, in the business school, we should change our paradigm and take a look at how changes can happen because of all of this disruption, disparity, degradation, disconnection, and discontent. So these are the inflection points, the chaos point. And it's not just the COVID, but it's also, climate change. It's also the people who doesn't want to have diversity in their midst, people who are not into change, people who doesn't want to adopt. These are all the words that can describe these situations: disruption, disparity, degradation, disconnection, and discontent. And so the next step to take is, we talk about sustainability, and sustainability means thriving. But in reality, before we thrive, we need first to survive. And how do we survive? Is we survive through all of these examples of resiliencies, of vulnerable flexibility, of bouncing back, of adaptive transformation, of self-reorganization and organization, renewal, and of course, persistence. Resilience is the capacity of individuals and groups like communities and families and societies and corporations to cope effectively with the impact of major rapid changes like natural disaster, crisis, or corporate emergencies, and to return to a healthy state afterwards. That is what resilience is.
Belum ada absennya kan, Mbak?
So the first pillar of resiliency is constant learning. And that is the ability to internalize past experiences that are linked with robust feedback loops that sense, provide foresight, and allow new solutions. So that's the first pillar of resilience, is to be able to, people to do continuous learning. We are all lifelong learners, and we must do that in the aftermath of the situations that we have now. For example, in the aftermath of major typhoons in the past, some residents decided to, not to live within the coastal villages. But however, there are still some people who wouldn't want, they still counter the natural flow of things and still insist on living the way they are, despite the many threats of being in coastal living, having coastal homes. So we need to have that kind of pillar in the way that we look at resilience, and that is constant learning. The next one is rapid rebound. That's the second resilience pillar, is rapid rebound. And it says the capacity to establish, function, reorganize, and avoid long-term disruptions. When I was a young teacher, way back many years ago, I think 30 years ago, the first country that I visited was Japan. And at that time, I was very amazed on how they were able to have all of these buildings at the time that already has bearings underneath them, so that during earthquakes, they would not be very much affected. So this is one example of how communities and how groups are able to make a rapid rebound. And for Japan, for example, centuries of destruction honed them for unparalleled disaster resilience. The next one is, the next pillar is limited or safe failures. And this prevents failures from rippling across systems. Of course, there is no such thing as a perfect system, but what happens is that when there is a failure in one system, a community, a resilient group will not allow the rest of the system to be affected. In other words, the organization can still function even when one part of the system breaks down. So it will not lead to a collapse of the entire system. The next pillar would talk about flexibility. This is an example. This example here is in Manila, the slum that became Manila's champion for recycling. Okay? Flexibility speaks of the ability to change, evolve, and adapt to alternative strategies in the face of disaster. So you've got a lot of garbage. A community has a lot of garbage to collect. Some communities would be able to exercise resiliency by recycling, by converting, repurposing all of this trash. And I remember one of the students of Dr. Amelia, a good friend of mine who graciously invited me to this webinar. Some of her students gave an example that was highlighted in one UN activity about how they converted garbage from an area in Jakarta into something useful, and the garbage was repurposed to become bags and other items that can be reused for another purpose. The next one, the last pillar, is the resilience pillar of spare capacity. The spare capacity talks about how do we ensure that there is a backup or alternative available when a vital component of a system fails. For example, urban farms came to happen during the time of COVID. You know, remember, a lot of people got into planting in their urban areas. Singapore even distributed seeds and plants that families can grow even if they reside in high-rise building. So it's not just for food supply, but it's also something to allow oxygen to be breathed by people around, and it also allows for the aesthetic purpose of having plants on the balcony of all of these high-rise buildings in Singapore. So that's an example of a resiliency on spare capacity. Now let's take a look at how all of this resiliency come into play in the real world. Okay, in 2018, for example, Hurricane Katrina hit Bangkok, and everything about the storm intensity and duration is the same. And there was an estimate, disaster point of that Hurricane Katrina, and after that, people learned that part of the resiliency of a community is to be able to identify where loss can be minimized, what area can be adjusted in terms of policy making so that loss would not be as massive. So the first D of resiliency is what we call defend, and what you defend are assets and values. So for this particular scenario of the Hurricane Lorenzo, where there were 143 tropical storms, 105 of which was named, there was a billion losses, and only a part of it was insured. So what happened? So we have to defend our assets and values in terms of making sure that they are insured. There is a backup plan when all of these systems breaks down. That's part of defending assets and value. That's the first response, first practical response to ensure that there is resiliency, is to be able to defend. The other D is to be able to diversify. Okay? Diversifying in terms of human resource management, diversifying in terms of using products. Okay, how products were used before can be differently used now, given the situation when these produce are already limited in supply. So what do you do for them? Okay. For example, on people, on the other hand, when you talk about companies, the higher levels of ethnic diversity can increase revenue by 15%. So it pays well if companies have embraced diversity. The next D is to decentralize investments and returns. For example, what happens when you have so much profit from green investment? So what do you do with that? I'm sure that the answer would have to be reinvesting the same to expanding green resources and making sure that whatever you earn from green investment is also fused back to ensure that a lot more sectors turns to green or turns sustainable in the end. There's also a solution. There's also a solution that we can do in resiliency, which is called decoupling. And what you decouple is resources and growth. For example, what happens with the tons of iron that is left out of all of these scrap farms that we have? Okay? What do we do with that? How do we repurpose all of this? Okay? How do we make sure that what we throw away will not, end up in our waterways and endanger our source of water, but rather they are repurposed, so that they can still be used. Talking about green fashion, talking about green DIY, household furniture, etc. So how do we make sure that whatever we produce gets to be reused many times over for other reasons? And we have to be able to define our performance and purpose. So part of what we have to instill in the business classroom is for our students are the ones who are the captains of the industry, especially if we teach in the graduate school level. So what we do is we give them all of these learnings and cases on how to ensure that when they are given the chance for leadership in those corporations, that they make sure that they put on the table the lessons of sustainability. For example, Unilever now is having its plastic by ensuring that it is able to repurpose plastic more than the plastic that it produces. So things like that. So the dexterity is the final result when we are able to, adapt and evolve by defending, diversifying, decentralizing, decoupling, and defining what we do in industries. So there is a 3 level of resilience, and you might say that, oh, is resiliency only good for organizations or sociological or societies? It's also good for individuals. So these are some of the terminologies that would be worth looking into deeply when we talk about resiliency. For socio-ecological, it would be diversity, redundancy, connectivity, feedback systems, learning, participation, governance, efficiency, adaptability, and cohesion. For organizations, take a look again at your organization's purpose, their values, their resourcefulness, agility, preparedness, safety, accountability, networks, and anticipate, monitor, and adopt. And for individual, it's all about acceptance, meaning, creativity, positivity, faith, commitment, improvisation, self-efficacy, mindfulness, and very important, happiness. In the recent happiness report, they again ranked number 1, 2, and 3 for 2020 to 2022. Finland, Denmark, and Iceland as the countries that are happiest, that their people have evaluated their countries to be countries of happiness. So what happens to countries that are not as developed or not as prosperous, like my country, or for example, Indonesia? So what happens there? So I think the important thing is to be able to come up with answers from the ground, to be able to have all of this researches done. So I'm going to be collaborating with Dr. Amelia Indrajaya to be able to come up with a resiliency index for both Philippines and Indonesia in our next research. Right, Dr. Amelia? So we'll be doing that. We'll be coming up with our study on finding out the resiliency index of these two important countries of ours and Indonesia. So in looking at the future resilience index, and I will be on my last 2 slides, I guess, it has to be satisfying. Resiliency has to be satisfying, meaning there is purposeful motivation and there is orientation and well-being. Questions like how satisfied you feel in your workplace, including whether your work is meaningful and leaves you feeling happy and healthy. This includes how you feel physically, emotionally, and mentally at work, which is what is meant by well-being. It must be shared, how fair and inclusive your workplace feels, including whether the employees are a good reflection of the diversity in the society, and if everyone is respected equally and has the voice adequately heard in the organization. You can talk about being smart as well. How do you feel about changes in your job and your career and your technology? How does it affect you? And how all of this affects the interplay of everything else that happens in your area, in your community, or in your company. And then there is a talk about security as well, or how well prepared and adaptable your company, your workplace, in terms of sudden attacks of market collapse or terror or mergers or acquisition, economic problems, accidents in the workplace, etc. Because in the end, all of the S that I have mentioned would have to boil down to how sustainable. So resiliency, which is surviving, eventually becomes our sustainability. And so we talk about how do we feel about our wider societal and environmental issues and their impact on the workplace. And this could include, for example, human rights, waste, income inequality, pollution, health, climate change, population, migration, and corruption. I'd like to end by giving you this example, post-COVID-19 in Belgium. So according to the study that was done in Belgium, this is how they looked at their resiliency for individuals, organizations in a slightly different blue, and the country in general, Belgium in general. So what is very evident here is that the way individuals, organizations, and countries look at resiliency is different. Okay? But a significant portion tend to perceive their organizations as more resilient than before, which is a good thing. So all of these inflection points must be able to allow us to be brought, all of these inflection points, this breakdown in our system, in our environment, must be able to bring us to a solution of what we call emergence. And emergence is the ability of a system to produce behaviors or phenomena that are not evident at the level of its individual parts. This is the process of spontaneous innovation in a complex, highly interconnected system. So I'd like to end by saying that resiliency is what we need to be able to not only to thrive, but before thriving, we need to survive first. So resiliency to be able to survive and then thrive, and continuing doing it would allow us to achieve the sustainability that we all wanted. I wish you future resilience because we are all going to need it. Thank you very much and good morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Eunice, for the presentation. Thank you. Okay. Okay, let's to the first speaker. I invite is a Professor Dr. Insinyur Amelia Naim, Head of GSMR, IPNI International Business School, Jakarta, Indonesia. Professor Amelia, time is yours.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Professor Amelia.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the globe, because we are such an international crowd right now. We have Professor Ruben Burga from Canada. Now it's 13 hours different. So meaning it's in the middle of the night, right? And we have Dean Eunice. Dean Eunice is in Manila. And we have Professor Shirley. And we have Professor Shirley. It's now in Bangkok, the same time with us. But we also have Professor Siham. Professor Siham is like 6 hours different to us. So we can see that this is the new post-pandemic era, right? Where everything is possible. Through technology, we become one, borderless. So I'm really, really glad. And right now I'm sharing my screen. I would like to know whether you all can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right. So it's really interesting, yeah? I can see that every keynote speakers come up with a very different perspective everyone talking about the most important thing, how we need to transform ourselves, learn from this lesson of pandemic. So what a big lesson to learn. So today we will talk in my session, we will talk how all this time before the pandemic, we have forgotten, that we are neglecting the most important thing, which is our Mother Earth. So what happened? I think the pandemic is how the Earth is responding to our, the way we neglect. So this is like a lesson learned to us. It's like a slap to our face saying, hey, wake up. You need to transform. You need to change. Yeah. So I'm really glad that we have this talk today. So this is very, very important that we need to have a long-term mindset. Okay. So everyone, I can see that there's almost 600 here in the Zoom right now. Do you agree that all this time human had been, the tendency is being greedy? So they're just looking for the short term profit, and they don't care about all these other things. They cut the cost, exploit the people, and then in the process, it is a disaster to the environment. So in a way, the earth is ailing, it's actually crying for help. And I think the pandemic is a good, slap on your face saying that, hello, wait a minute, we need to change. Yeah. So as you see, before the malaria, it's only happening in the coastal areas. Now, because of global warming, we can also find the mosquitoes in the mountain. So this is the real problem with human beings not understanding the sustainable development goals, yeah, that have been, always been campaigned by the United Nations. So we need to transform our way of thinking into long-term success, broad mind and perception, and we need to transform to the sustainability mindset. Okay, why? Let me show you, yeah. This is why what has been happening in the world. This is our Mother Earth. What happened? Pollution everywhere, people do not care, carbon dioxide, and what, if we cannot even see the blue sky, if we go outside in Jakarta, we cannot see the blue sky. It's covered with pollution. Look at this. This is us. We should be the lung of the world, but what happened now? We are cutting all the woods because of greedy for money. Yeah, and what happened? This is a disaster. All this carbon dioxide is making our world becomes, it's a really global warming problem all around the world. So we can see how we have changed from becoming the lung of the world. We have tropical forests, but all these greedy business people now, they just, turn it into money. And they just burn the forest to make a quick way to do, plantation. And this was really bad. Yeah. Everywhere businesses, they forgot the long-term thinking and they are just exploiting. And you can see even by flying all the time, this is also causing global warming. Okay, so what happened if we don't do anything? Yeah, the pandemic is kind of like a, like a symptom or a call, emergency call, saying that, hey, you need to change. Huh? This is what happened in Canada. It's also global warming, drought, and then the ice has melted, and then you can see that the Arctic bear is going into extinction. Yeah, and then you can also see that the typhoon and the hurricane and all these things. You might say, oh, maybe not in Indonesia. Look, this is Indonesia. Can you see this? This is Java Island. Look what happened. Each year, what happened? Can you see? Okay, write in the chat. What do you think is happening with our Java Island? Look at it. Can you see it? Every 5 years, what happened? Can you see it? Oh my God, 2050, what will happen? Yes, we are going to be drowning if we don't do really important measure, really transform our way to do business. It's very, very important for us to change. So, do you agree? Everyone write down in the chat. Do you agree that Indonesia is also being affected? Yes, write down in the chat, everyone. We can see 631, yes, participants here. And then you see that this is happening nowadays, not only in your other countries, but also in the neck of the wood, close to us. Yeah. So right now, drought is happening everywhere. Some also in the Indonesian area, but in the other hand, there's also flood. So this is extreme situation. And this is because businesses are just too greedy. They are not making it embedded in their business model, the sustainability mindset. So all this extreme weather, if you can see now, is what? It's already the end of March, right? But we still have lots of rainy season, and that is not normal. So you can see we are having a climate change, and this extreme weather will continue on unless we realize and change ourselves. All this hurricane, all this tragedy, even under the water. Can you see if you go to the Thousand Island, if you go diving, the coral reef will be dead, just like this one. This white, this once was a very nice living creature under the sea, but now they are all dead. Because all these businesses, they just throw their waste to the river, and of course it ended up in the sea, and look what's happening. Yeah. So this is human making this. So what's the solution? Why should we wake up after the pandemic? We need to understand, yeah, that not profit is the number one, but how do we embrace the people? How do we take care of the planet? And then by doing and supporting the sustainable mindset, then we can get profit. So this is very, very important. We have to transform our mindset, and it has to be, actually should be before. I hope we are not too late, but at least we as all this audience from the business and economic, academicians, students, faculty, and real business players, we need to wake up. I think the pandemic is a wake-up call for us that we should change ourselves to become more, resilience, like what Dean Eunice has told us, and by making it embedded in our system. Because if it's not embedded in our system, of course, it will be a long-term failure. So you might be successful, but only very short term. Yeah. So yeah, let's see how we should transform ourselves. So number one, changing the mindset. This is not business as usual, everyone. This is business post-pandemic. This is after the wake-up call. Pandemic is just a wake-up call telling, the Mother Nature is trying to tell us that, hey, this is not the way to do business. This is not the way of living. We all need to wake up, yeah, and we need to discover, yeah, how to make sustainable innovation, how to support SDG, Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, how to become a pioneer, and then become a good influencer so that everyone would also change. And you need to also start with a breakthrough action. So I really like the way Professor Shirley is doing this out of the box, you know, uh, really inviting the students to make an NFT together with the art. And so this is a team effort where every aspect is being used. And then with the blockchain, it becomes a source of a very flourishing income. And so it can help also, you know, by helping the third world countries who is in need. So this is really good, yeah, by thinking how are we going to do business in a very different way, because we have got this wake up call from the pandemic. We need to think about breakthrough action. We need to have a social impact, environmental friendly, and of course, it becomes a profitable business. Yes. So we have to change the story about business from the best in the world to become the best for the world. So this is very important. Not the best in the world, but the best for the world. So I think it's our homework to make sure that all of our business and economy students change their mindset, because they are the future business player. And they must use this pandemic as a wake up call that it's not business as usual anymore. Yeah, we need to change if we want to survive. So, how to change? We need to make it all these very, very valuable goals embedded in our business model. So, for example, with no poverty, yeah, I will tell you the story later about how companies after pandemic, they are trying to embrace the communities to become part of their supply chain. So for example, Kecap Bango is embracing the farmers in Central Java to plant the soy. Yeah, plant the soy, and it's being bought in a higher than market price. And by giving it a very high quality supply chain, it becomes a word of mouth. Everyone is talking about it. Like, oh, Kecap Bango, look, they are changing the farmer in Central Java from illiterate, buta huruf, into now they can send their kids to college. So no more poverty. So that is business supporting SDG. And of course, there are lots of other business we can share later that they are making sure that this SDG is embedded in their business model through innovation, of course. And maybe you would say, oh, that's impossible. That is something that only could be done with high investment, high capital. But this is my student in IPMI International Business School. Guess what? I gave them 400,000 rupiah and I asked them to start a business supporting at least one SDG, one Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And in 2 months, they said, oh, ma'am, I have made 10 times the 400,000, so I don't need your money. So I'm returning your money because this business is so good. Let me show you the video that they made. It's a very millennial video. Yeah, this is the orange. Inside is the jelly. So they are actually having a zero waste. And this one is the plant for inside the office, creating oxygen. And this is what Dean Yunis has mentioned. Yeah, this is the bag made of waste. Yeah. And we can see they're using also refillable water, and they're selling it. And also, there's a group, yeah, who is making a vertical garden. Yes. So you can see that all, yes, all the groups are producing very highly supporting SDG, yeah, and they're making so much money, yeah. And this one is the plastic made of tapioca, and it's also very biodegradable. And this one is a business also, which is the waste bank. So you turn the waste into very, very useful things. And then it can also be beneficial for the community. And we are doing this Aim to Flourish to make sure that our students know all these businesses supporting those SDGs. So this is a very eye-opening, program for all of us. This is what happened. This is our student coming from Philippines. His name is Bernard Bayroy, and he said, our paradigm shifted toward a sustainable direction of conducting business where social innovation will form the nuclei of our business models, which means that after this program, they are transforming their mindset. And I want to share to you that we also have in the metaverse, this is the exhibition of all the businesses already supporting the SDG of post-pandemic. And I'm giving you the link, so everyone is welcome to visit. And there are more than 23 businesses. This one, for an example, is a biocycle. This biocycle is a company in Indonesia, and what they are doing is they are producing margot. Margot is the larva of the black soldier fly, black fly soldier, yeah, and it's very high in protein. It's also helping to solve the waste problem. So this is just an example how my students is able to do an interview to the business and then write down the report, get it published in Aim to Flourish, and also making a poster in Metaverse and giving a presentation in Metaverse. And so this is a life-changing discovery learning experience. Once they graduate, they will never work for a company unless they are doing well by doing good. And with that, I ended my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Professor Amelia, for the presentation. Very interesting explanation and very attractive. Okay, we will continue to the last speaker in the session. I invite Professor Ruben Burga, MBA, PhD from the University of Canada. Professor Ruben Burga, time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Selamat malam. I hope that everyone is doing well. My name is Ruben Burga. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Guelph. Unfortunately, I'm not able to be at your event either specifically there or even face-to-face, which I would love to be in because I love Jakarta. I used to live in Asia for quite some time. I wish to thank Dr. Amelia Naim and the organizing committee and the various professors and directors of the IPMI International Business School for inviting me to this business presentation on business transformation post-pandemic towards the SDG enhancement. It's a big word, but we're going to try and parse it down to something that makes sense for all of us. Again, thank you to the Faculty of Economics and Business at the IPMI and Universitas Bayangkara Jakarta Raya. Hopefully I put all the pronunciations right. I'm going to start off by talking about the University of Guelph, giving you a picture of who we are, where we are located in terms of physical, geographical location, and the country that we're in, and then talk about the SDGs and business transformation from the big picture, then from the Canadian perspective, going down to the regional perspective, in our region here where the university is situated. And finally, I want to take a look at a very local perspective from a company that I've been involved with and I've worked with for the past 3 years or so, and seen them grow tremendously. So I hope that this talk addresses what the committee wanted to talk about, and we're going to go through and start off. So as I mentioned, my name's Assistant Professor Ruben Berga. I have a PhD in management from the University of Guelph. I also have an MBA from a university in Rhode Island in the US, and my bachelor's is in mechanical engineering from the University of Toronto, again in Canada. And through my 25, 30 years of working, I've worked in Asia, Latin America, Canada, the US, and Europe, and lived in various places. And then 10 years ago, I decided to go into this whole beautiful world of management and business education. So I've only been a professor for the past, maybe 6 years or so. But through that time, I've been able to incorporate a lot of work relating back to sustainability and the SDGs. So to give you a picture of the University of Guelph, we're located in Canada, in the province of Ontario, about an hour west of Toronto. We have almost 30,000 undergraduate and graduate students, of which about 1,700 are from international locations. Let me play a little clip on the university itself.
At the University of Guelph, we're united by one common mission: to improve life. Life is full of fun and interesting challenges, and the status quo is no longer enough. We need to collaborate, continue to evolve, and improve. Everything we teach here focuses on the whole person to shape better citizens of the world. Are you ready? Ready to engage your community? Learn better ways to nourish all living creatures. Learn ethical, sustainable business practices. Integrate culture into all fields of study. Learn solutions that safely connect humankind to this planet and beyond. Celebrate diversity and inclusivity. To improve life is our shared challenge. What role will you play? Let's find out.
So welcome to the University of Guelph. It is a very important task for us to make sure that we actually do improve life. And one of the key things about improving life is to go through and very specifically go through and implement things like the Sustainable Development Goals. And the Sustainable Development Goals, you will have had lots of discussions about them. You know, there are 17 big goals that we're working towards, but they're not just goals for us individually or for nations, but they're also goals for business. And this is the orientation, I believe, of this particular seminar. So as we talk about the 17 goals and how to actually work with them, we have to look at some of the organizations that actually do take care of focusing on these goals. And one of those organizations is the UN Global Compact. Now, there's a division in Canada called UN Global Compact Network Canada. And within that specific division, we do look at all the different aspects of implementing the SDGs with businesses. So very, very specifically, looking at the Global Compact mission, there are principles that we go behind, but there's also sub-actions, I guess you would call them, that business can participate in. And one of those actions is the circular economy. And the circular economy is really relevant itself. If you think about the circular economy, it really is a lot of basic things that we should be doing. But in fact, the circular economy is a great vehicle to fast track whatever we do with respect to the SDGs. In particular, launching a circular economy means that what you are doing is you're actually hitting specifically goals 6, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 of the SDGs. Goals that relate back to the environment, goals that relate back to our own health, and goals are very, very important towards the development of who we are as not only businesses, but people. So for those who are not sure what the circular economy is, I recommend strongly going to a website called the Ellen MacArthur Foundation website. Within that specific website, there's a beautiful description of the circular economy. Ellen MacArthur was a philanthropist who really decided to devote a lot of time on the circular economy. And within the circular economy itself, you can get all kinds of information of how you can participate, but also how businesses actually make an impact on the circular economy. What is it? In fact, the key things about the circular economy, and something that all businesses can actually incorporate, is that we're focusing on eliminating waste and pollution. Also focusing on the whole regeneration of nature, focusing on how we can actually work at optimizing the use of products. So in fact, you look at the organic and inorganic parts of whatever businesses do. The organics can be regenerated, recirculated, and reused. Then inorganic, before they go to their final disposal, we reuse them, repurpose them, re-put them back into the economy. So those are things that are important in the circular economy that then becomes a vehicle for businesses to actually transform. This all happens post-pandemic because, in fact, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, we had the problem of waste. Post-pandemic, we now have the problem of not only waste, but also knowing that our climate is changing. And because our climate is changing, we have to take the actions. So I've given you a picture of the SDGs, a picture of the UN Global Compacts. Let me go a little bit smaller down to our regional area. Our region is made up of a province. In Canada, we have 10 provinces. In the States, they have multiple states. And within these provinces, we have different regions. Our region is called the Guelph-Wellington region. Within the Guelph-Wellington region, we have an initiative for circular economy, which we call the COIL initiative. In our COIL initiative, we're a circular economy driven region. We focus a lot on designing, producing, distributing, consumer use, reusing, recycling, everything that is around the circular economy. If you're interested, you can go to the coil.eco, which is our specific launchpad for the COIL economy. It's COIL stands for Circular Opportunity Innovation Launchpad. It resulted from a competition across Canada where Guelph-Wellington, which is our region, won a $5 million grant from the federal government to promote SDGs and the circular economy within our region. So within our region of specifically Guelph, we're very, very much oriented towards looking at anything that accelerates businesses. So we have business accelerator programs where we contribute to business development. And as you do that, you know what's happening? We're actually integrating the SDGs. There's many organizations that specifically are involved, but now that we've looked at how our region works at it, let's look at a very specific example of how a company works at it. So you've seen the big part, the UN SDGs globally. You've seen Canada, UN Global Compact. And you now have seen COIL, which is specifically for our region. But let's look at a very specific company called Nurture Growth. Nurture Growth is one company, a small entrepreneurial innovative company that basically looks at food waste and looks at making food and the impact on climate change. These are all business related issues. And they said, there is a way to make an impact and make money here. So very specifically, they look at a solution where they take food waste from restaurants, generally because they're easier to collect from. They add some microorganisms and then they create a biofertilizer. So basically what we're doing is we're rescuing food waste and we're implementing it within the circular economy. I am saying we, because I've known this company for about 3 or 4 years. My students in my classes actually did a project. You're familiar with the Aim to Flourish project. They did a project with Nurture Growth some years back during the pandemic. At that point in time, Nurture Growth had some challenges because there wasn't very much food waste from restaurants. Restaurants weren't very busy. Now, post-pandemic, all of a sudden, all the restaurants are busy. So all of a sudden, Nurture Growth is becoming much more vibrant, much more successful. So as being part of the solution, what they do is they take all that waste and they go and use it, add some microorganisms, and make some very rich fertilizer, which is amazing for increasing the growth of very high value products. So it's great for agriculture. It's not something that is the same level of fertilization as manure. In fact, it's much, much better because it increases crop yields by 20 to 50% more economy and 10 to 25% better yields. So in fact, there is quite a bit of growth that happens out of our Nurture Growth partners. They do actually provide it for consumers and in carboys for end users. Now, this kind of a model is a company that in fact is successful, not just at the level of organizations, but at the level of individuals. So each individual can make an impact by actually using Nurture Growth products. So you see what I've done. I've gone from the big picture, the SDGs, down to the UN Global Compact Canada, the Canadian perspective, down to our regional perspective, the COIL initiatives that we have, all the way down to an actual company who has gone through the pandemic, got outside the pandemic, and post-pandemic is actually succeeding very well in promoting a circular economy product. So I hope I've addressed what the organizers of this beautiful, fantastic conference have asked me to do. And I wish you luck as you and your businesses actually try to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much, terima kasih, and have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ruben, for the presentation. Okay, thank you for the keynote speaker for the very interesting presentation. It's time for us to open the Q&A. We invite the participant to ask a question. Question can be directly or through the chat column. Please state your name and the question is to whom. We are still waiting for the presentation question. Okay. Okay. This is already a question in the chat column from Miss Ida Utari. Okay. Student in the Management Science doctoral program study at Bayangkara Jakarta University. Question to all speakers. We all know the impact of the COVID pandemics. What is the most impact on the people, and what is the best practice that we can learn and multiply action to recovery living life? So we can anticipate or make action if we will face a situation like this. Okay, I invite to all keynote speaker to answer question. There are 3 keynote speaker who still join. Maybe we start from Professor Siham, Professor Yunis, and then Professor Amelia. Okay. I invite Professor Siham to answer the question from Miss Ida Untari. Okay, maybe we start from Prof. Yunis to answer.
Good morning
question
again.
for Miss
Good morning
Ida.
again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I think during the pandemic, what people was able to reflect on is the different priorities now. What is most important? What can't be put aside any longer? And on the individual point of view, because everything has to begin from the individual's perspective first before you can channel it to your workplace and before you can channel it to your society. So I think what the community, what the individual was able to have during the time, during the COVID lockdown, was to reassess, okay, and to go back to the state of mindfulness and find the basic answer to the question, what will make you happy and what can you contribute to other people's happiness? So if that question can be answered by every individual, then I think we can convert that to, corporate policies and academic curricula and how we can engage society as an individual.
Thank you, Professor Yunis. I invite Professor Amelia from answer to question Miss Ida. Thank you.
All right. Before I start, I just got a message from Professor Siham. She was actually trying to answer the question, but she is muted by the committee. Is it possible?
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, can you hear me?
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't know what's happening. I cannot even. Oh, here it is. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry for that. Thank you very much for the question, and in reply, I think the biggest issue for us here was in New Zealand is that we stayed in lockdown for a long time, and the social distancing was a big issue, and that created a lot of social segregation, and people started being scared and afraid from each other. And right now, we just opened our airport last August. The whole world was opened, but we were not. We were still in lockdown. And even when the few times we went out of it, our airports were closed. And the government was putting rules that if you go out, you cannot come in. It was very, very difficult. Other than it affected the businesses, it affected us socially. And then when we are going back now to start face-to-face, and especially in the education field, the students are scared to come back to the face-to-face. So some students are wanting it, but some others are really, really scared and apprehensive, and also working remotely. And by the time people have been 3 years doing that, then they are going back to the offices. It is scary. So there is lots of research that's being conducted about the value or the pros and the cons of working remotely versus working face-to-face. This phase needs to smooth things for people. People cannot switch like that. They need the transition to, we were hit with the COVID, we were hit with stay at home, don't talk to anybody, even people would not come and visit you. Yeah, I think socially, we need to gel again and to start have more trust and, enjoy it again. Yeah. And if we start doing that and then started being open up and enjoying life and getting used to normality, whatever normal is, that will be beneficial for everybody. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Sihao. Okay, I invite Prof. Amelia Naim from Aswad the question, Mesida.
Thank you very much. What a great question, yeah? So it's a true wake-up call. Let me say that again, because of this situation where people are not, understanding the sustainable mindset. So they are just exploiting the people, exploiting the environment. What happened is the global warming is becoming worse and worse. And this is how the pandemic is becoming very scary, because with the global warming, the spread of the virus is very quick. Yeah. So what happened after the pandemic? What we need to learn is right now, SDG is not just nice to have. So I quote Professor Siham again, but it's a necessity. It's a necessity. It's a must. Unless you do good, don't do business. So you only may do business if it is solving the problem of the world. So you solve the problem of the world through your business. So for example, let me talk about producer of jamu, for example, right? So this herbal from Indonesia is very famous, right? So what do? They embrace the herbal farmer, and they teach them how to do organic plantation. And then by doing the herbal plantation, they become the high quality supply chain for the herbs. And so this business, the more they make money, the more they solve the problem of poverty from the farmer, and solving the problem of hunger, SDG number 2, because now the farmer live a very good life and solve the problem of education. Now the farmer can send their kids to college. So the only way of doing business after pandemic is you have to solve the problem. You have to have not just happiness, but we have to have meaning and greater purpose. So find the meaning, find the greater purpose, and do your business based on that holy, noble vision. And so by doing that, it's for sure you support the SDG, and then the more you do all this flourishing impact, it's berkah, yeah? It's flourishing for everyone. So your business is not just good for yourself, it's good for your employees, it's good for the society, it's good for the government, it's good for the suppliers, the vendors, you name it, everyone. So that is what we call flourishing, or in Indonesia, we call it berkah, ya? Business yang berkah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you from Amelia from this answer. Okay, it seems that all the participants enjoy this webinar. Do the time constraint we ended the Q&A session. Thank you to amazing speaker who joined it. I will end this session and I will return it to the Master of Ceremony, Miss Alina. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hani, for such a great moderation of today's first sessions of our international speakers today. Ladies and gentlemen, please give virtual big applause to all of the speakers for these first sessions. And it is time to give the appreciation for all of our speakers today. Honorable all speakers and moderator, please kindly remain on your screen to receive virtual appreciation from us as token of appreciation. I would like to invite the Vice Dean for the Academic and Faculty of Economic and Business, Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya University, Honorable Dr. Amor Marunda, SEAK MEK, to give this certificate of appreciation to all of our speakers in this first session. First of all, I would like to invite Honorable Dr. Amor to give the certificate of appreciation for Honorable Dean of Christian Gratia University College, Hong Kong, Dr. Shirley Yang. Is Dr. Shirley still there? All right. Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon and evenings for everybody. Totally have different times in Canada, Indonesia, or other Asias. Everybody, first of all, on behalf of the Dean of Faculty of Economy and Business, University of Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya, and the organizing committee, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to all keynote speakers who satisfy and collaborate from planning to holding today webinar activities so that the webinar activities run smoothly and successful. Here symbolic as a thank you to Professor Dr. Shirley Yang. We would like to thank you very much and give applause to Professor Dr. Shirley Yang.
All right, the second is for Honorable Professor Dr. Siham El Khalafi, Director from University of Wolokokai, New Zealand.
So Siham El Khalafi, and then Professor Benka MBA PhD, also Professor Eunice Margaret Bureau Aroa PhD, and Dr. Amelia as our keynote speaker, the best keynote speakers. And thanks to all the keynote speakers. Thank you very much. Back to our professor.
Yes, the third is for Honorable Professor Eunice Maret Quero Areola, Dean Management and Entrepreneurship and Director for Academic Affairs, UST Angelicum College, Manila, Philippines. Yes, this is the third certificate of appreciation from us to all of our honorable speakers today in the first session. All right, next, the fourth certificate of appreciation is proudly present to you, Honorable Dr. Insinyur Amelia Naim, as head of CSMSR, IPMI, International Business School, Jakarta, Indonesia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be in this wonderful section. Thank you.
You're welcome, madam. And the fifth and the certificate of appreciation is proudly present to Honorable Professor Ruben Burga, MBA PhD from the University of Guelph, Canada. Yes. Continued with a little bit of photo session for all the speakers and also the moderator. Please kindly remain for a while to allow us and the community capturing this moment? All right. Thank you. Thank you for such a great and very nice session and our first session this morning. Honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, now we will continue to the second session. We'll go back to our moderator, Mrs. Hani, who will again lead the presentation and also discussions. Time is yours.
Okay. Thank you to Master of Ceremony, Miss Alina. Let's continue on the second session. Where is the session? We also present keynote speaker who are no less extraordinary, absolutely. I will first read the curriculum vitae of the first speaker in this session, Dr. David Pangaribuan, SAMSI, Head of Accounting, Master Study Program, Bayangkara, Jakarta University. Dr. David Pangaribuan, SAMSI, currently serves as Chair of the Master of Accounting Study Program at Bayangkara, Jakarta Raya University. He also actively writes in various national and international scientific journals, especially in the field of the accounting. Participate in the community service and attend local, national, and international seminar as the research person are committed. Okay, our this second speaker is the Miss Rati Pekunoro, student in the Management Scientific Doctor Study Program at Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. Miss Rati Pekunoro, student who is the active and has an educational background at Trisakti University, University of Indonesia, and a student in the Management Science Doctoral Study Program at the Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University, has experience in the professional world as a director and also as a lecturer, and has a competent certificate anti-corruption lecture by ACLC KPK, hypnotherapist, and member journal research team. Okay. And the last speaker is Dr. Hadita, SPDMM, Head of the Management Study Program, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. Dr. Hadita, SPDMM, graduated from the doctoral program at the Trisakti University with a concentration in strategic management. She is currently the head of the Management Study Program, as well as a permanent lecturer at the Management Study Program at Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University from 2016 to the present. She also active write in various national and international scientific journal, participate in community service, and participate in local, national, and international seminar as a research person or committee. Okay, thank you for the all keynote speaker for joining us. For that, I invite the first speaker, Dr. David Pangaribuan, SAMSI. Hello, Dr. David.
Hello.
Okay, Dr. David, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Hani. Good morning for all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for participation to attend for webinar public lecture, Economic and Business Faculty, Universitas Bayangkara Jakarta Raya. I want to presentation my PowerPoint with the title, Important Role of Digital Business Transformation to Face Competition in the Digital Economy Era. To assure explanation, I made the presentation few questions.
Pulang aja. Apa cuma kameranya kurang ke bawah.
Oh, gitu.
Coba. Bapak nggak pakai kamera?
Oh,
Ini. Ya, Bapak ngomong aja, Bapak jangan, Bapak konsentrasi.
Oke, oh iya belum buka. Oke.
Nah, oke. Siap. Kurang ke bawah. Nah, ini Bapak kelihatan cakep. Oke, Pak ya.
Why digital transformation is needed in business development? Get a new perspective on managing a company, optimizing company operation, and changing business models to more efficient. Technological development forces corporate management to adapt through digital transformation. Digital transformation is part of the process of business transformation supported by information technology devices. Digital transformation aims to enable companies to improve performance by changing the way they do business. Work efficiency is a state to optimize revenue and business competitiveness. That means we are now digital transformation or supported changing model business, more efficient, optimize revenue, and business competitiveness. What is digital transformation? Digital transformation has changed the way all types of business work, from startup to small and medium companies to global companies. Digital transformation refers to the process and strategy of using digital technology to drastically change the way business operate and serve customers. This expression has become commonplace in today's digitalization era. That's because every organization, regardless of size or industry, is increasingly dependent on data and technology to operate more efficiently and deliver value to customers. The digital transformation to increasingly technology operate more efficiently and deliver value to customer. History of digital transformation. Although computer technology has been around for decades, the concept of digital transformation is still relatively new. Coming the 1990s with the introduction of mainstream internet. Today, digitization has touched every part of our life, influencing the way we work, shop, travel, educate, manage, and live. The practice of digital transformation or use of digital technology has fueled the creation of new business model and revenue stream, such as artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things are accelerating business transformation. But now, while basic technology such as data management and analytics are modeled to analyze large amount of data generated from digital transformation, technology digital is developed can to large amount data from digital transformation. How digital transformation process? Digital transformation is not just about technology. It takes place at intersection of people, business, and technology, and is guided by broader business strategy. Success comes when organizations can effectively use data created by or through technology in ways that enable business change to occur dynamically. Digital transformation is made possible by bringing together person, business, and technology. The person hiring talent people is only the beginning. Organizational structure and culture are equally important in the success of the transformation project. The right business strategy can drive the digitization of internal process and development of new business model. New technologies such as artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, as well as underlying technologies such as data management and analytics. The convergence of people, business, and technology give life to digital business, enabling organizations to deliver digital experience, digital operation, and digital innovation. Digital business can innovate quickly and leverage innovation to deliver digital product and service of value to customers. How digital transformation becomes a habit. Digital transformation is all about unlocking value in business process and releasing it back to customers and being agile enough to use data and analytics to create innovative new experiences. The digital transformation journey will lead organizations to become analytic-driven, and the embedded adoption of artificial intelligence technologies will become second nature. How digital transformation works? Companies cannot realize benefit of digitalization unless the three components of digital transformation, people, business, and technology, works together. Incorporating this component into organizational culture, demand leadership from the Chief Data and Analytical Officer, Chief Information Officer, or even Chief Executive Officer. The result of this collaboration drives a customer or that ensure every action taken in done with the customer experience. Organizations that are successful with digital transformation effort by shifting their mindset, strategy, and culture to keep pace with changing needs can achieve results such as 1, engaging digital experiences, 2, digital operation, and 3, digital innovation. Digital transformation affects every organization differently, but every successful transformation includes the same core component. People and technology. People, the human side of digital transformation, attracting and retaining digital talent is critical, but it's equally important to maintain the right type of organizational structure and culture to support collaboration, flexibility, and speed. People have skill. The first digital companies hire the best employees they could evolve and integrated them into multi-field so that the result of one field could share with others. Digital productivity and collaboration tools help employees bring digital product to market with greater speed and agility. Organizational structure. After a company accumulates some wins with its digital transformation practice, it's needed to reorganize to form a cross-functional team dedicated to customer service. The next step is to deliberately create an organizational structure that fosters purpose, autonomy, and mastery. Culture, foster a culture of innovation and continuous improvement through decision-making based on top-down insight. Data and technology will only carry a company if culture and leadership are at the pure of change. With the right organizational culture, almost anything can be achieved. Two aspects on technology, digitalization, transformation. Technology is related of business, strategic and customer experience, internal process and business models. Reason for the importance of digital transformation in companies. One, enable to adopt change in customer behavior. Two, increasing customer satisfaction. Third, more time and cost savings. Four, effective and efficient effort. Five, reducing the risk of internal fraud. Six, increasing competitiveness and profit value. When is the right time for business digital transformation? Now is the perfect time for a reason. Currently, a lot of technology at affordable prices. Technological development are increasingly indulgent user with experience which is easy to use. Today is era of speed. If it is slow, it will be run over. Reducing the risk of business fraud, but the success of digital transformation, the digital technology itself, namely how to integrate it big data, mobility, and cloud native technologies. For this reason, adequate infrastructure is needed. If done with a conventional model, it will require a large amount of money. One is negative impact. Conclusion, digital transformation aims to enable companies to improve performance to business, to optimize revenue and business competitiveness. Two, digital transformation refers to the processes and strategies of using digital technology to drastically change the way business operates and serves customers. Third, digital transformation takes place at the intersection of people, business, and technology, and it's guided by broader business strategy. Four, success organization can effectively use data created by technology in ways that enable business change to occur dynamically. Thank you. My presentation. I'm sorry for these shortcomings. I return
Okay.
to Mrs. Henny.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. David, for the presentation. Okay. Well, we will continue the second speaker. I invite Miss Rati P. Kunoro. Miss Rati, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. Okay, Miss Rati, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings to all. Can you hear my voice? Greetings to our honorable prominent speakers and all attendees of this international forum. I would like to thank Universitas Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya for the opportunity for me to be a speaker in this international forum. May I have permission to share screen?
Sure, Bu.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes.
Before I start, I would like to say that I'm probably the junior one among all the prominent speakers because I am now attending the doctorate program for at the Universitas Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya. And I assure you that it is a place where your intellectual curiosity is very well facilitated. So I invite those of you that are seeking a doctorate program to come and join us in the next semester. Okay, thank you. Let me start. Okay, as it has explained before that the global pandemic had a very major 17 SDGs setback. As we can see that poverty has risen due to the economic crisis. Businesses are soaring, jobless everywhere, the death toll rising, and everyone is experiencing a lot of setbacks, personally, professionally, and business. In the inequality, we can see also that there are major gaps where the poorer became poorer and the richer became richer. And for those that are being able to use the opportunity of utilizing the technology, they are able to utilize the technology to make themselves richer. And while the poor, they have no access to technology, they have no access to the internet, financially, economically, and education-wise, they have 10, 20 years setback. And environment issues, the zero carbon certificate plan, which was supposed to be implemented in 2020, was canceled because many head of states must focus on the curing of the pandemic in their own countries. So the global objective of the 17 SDGs had to be postponed, and it had a major setback, and it had a major chaos globally. And emerging from the pandemic, businesses must reevaluate their business strategies and align them with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we are now here all being able to attend this webinar is such an honor, and we are all lucky to be survivors of this pandemic, as everyone was soaring, not just individually, but business and the nation are all striving. Some survive, some are not surviving, and it is a total chaos for everyone. But we are all lucky here to be able to survive the disease, and we are all striving to be better at improving our businesses, but always keeping in mind that we have the SDGs to implement. How business can implement SDGs? One, you must conduct sustainability assessment. You have to make assessment to understand your company's impact on the environment, society, and economy. And two, business strategy aligned with SDGs. It means that identify SDGs that are relevant to your business operations and align your business strategy with those goals. Three, develop sustainability plan. You have to develop a plan that outlines your company's goals, targets, and action plans to achieve the SDGs. Four, you have to involve stakeholders in your plan, such as employees, customers, suppliers, and local communities. You have to communicate to them your sustainability goals, and you have to involve them in your sustainability initiatives. Five, you have to monitor and report your progress towards achieving the SDGs, so you can measure your targets and achievements. And six, collaborate with businesses and organizations so you can scale up your impact and achieve the SDGs. Conclusion. All businesses should upgrade their strategies post-pandemic to strive and implement the 17 SDGs, and then collaborate and innovate to enhance the impact. Three, pandemic or no pandemic, all businesses must implement the 17 SDGs. And we all have to remember that we are all responsible to achieve the global objectives, that is to fight poverty, create equality, and make the world a better and a cleaner place to live. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Orati, for the presentation. Okay, we move on to the last speaker in this session. Okay, I invite Dr. Hadita, SPDMM. Hello, Dr. Hadita. Okay, sorry. Belum. Okay. Sorry, I look like there is a signal interference or maybe another problem. Okay. Okay. Hello, Miss Hadita, Dr. Hadita.
Yes, hello.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Henny.
Okay, Miss Hadita, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you for the moderator for the time. It's very pleasure to meet you, all of the academic fellows on this morning. So today I would like to present my material. It's about business transformation post-pandemic toward SDGs enhancements. So as we know that nowadays, every business needs to transformations because of today is not pandemic anymore, but is the post-pandemic area. Okay, next slide. So business transformations is a big chance for your business progress on post-pandemic Why we say it like this? Because of business transformations itself is a major chance that a company dares to make accelerate business change and growth. This includes change to systems, business process, and technology as a whole. And second, business transformations can also help your company to see the potentials of employees, take the advantage of intellectual property, and leverage proprietary technology advisor for other purposes to maximize the company's potential. So next slide. So why is the transformations necessary? There are three kinds. First, business transformations is one of the efforts that you can do as a businessman to maintain the existence of your business so that you are not left behind by your competitors. And the second, business transformations is also a big initiative that takes years to completely change the fundamental aspects of the company. And the last, thus, the scope of business transformation is quite broad and strategic. For example, such as switching to a new business for optimizing company operations. And next slide. Next slide, please. Here, there are types of business transformations as follows. First, business process transformations. This transformation focuses on how to solve a problem more simply. These usually involve a lot of optimizations and automations to focus on higher value projects. This transformation is ongoing endeavor, starting with the most common methods and then progressing to lower return methods, with the aim of providing higher value services and offering to the market. Second, informations or data or digital transformations focus on the use of technology to unlock added value, such as aggregating and sharing data in new, more efficient ways. For example, online ordering. This also includes leveraging technology and data and using digital assets as part of the new offering itself. And the third, organizational transformations. Changing the allocations of resources is an important key to many transformations. This transformation focuses on how to organize employees from different departments and departmental structure, looking at internal skills and experience, how staff are deployed, and the various reporting structures that allow companies to identify opportunities. These opportunities can lead to downsizing or development to better achieve business growth and success. Other goals might include leveling the organizations, measuring the right number of employees, and removing barriers that hinder team collaborations and communication. And for management transformations, next slide. Changing the management structures may be part of solutions, or we can say that getting rid of the middlemen, etc. But empowering individuals to make their own decisions quickly to reach consensus is far more important. This requires outreach and access to information, establishing clear channels for communications and complete transparencies in organizations functioning. And the last is about culture transformations. As we know that culture transformation is in some ways the most difficult business transformations activities. Corporate culture tends to develop organically, driven by the personality of the leaderships and how people are valued and recognized. Changing cultures usually takes longer than other types of transformations because it's more difficult to translate concepts and intentions into actions and practice. And for the conclusions, A strong visions, of course, with the motivation for SDGs, sticking to the visions and practicing to ensure it works in critical to a company's success. And we know that there will always be places, process, and structures that can benefit from transformations. Considering that the scope of transformation is quite broad, of course, this change needs full support from above, be it the CEO or the board of directors for the success and sustainable growth of the companies in the future. Okay, thank you for the simple presentations and the last presentations from me. And I put back to the moderator. Thank you, Miss Henny.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadita, for the presentation. Okay. Thank you to all keynote speakers for the very interesting presentation. It's time for us to open Q&A. We invite the participant to ask a question. Okay, question can be directly or through the chat column. Please state your name and question is to whom. Okay, we are still waiting for the participant. Question. Okay. Okay, question can be directly or through the chat column. Please state your name and question is to whom. Okay, we are still waiting for the participant. Okay. Okay. I have one question from the chat column. Okay, please. Okay.
Could you read me the question?
Okay. Okay, yeah. Question in the chat column from Miss Orati. Okay. How can you develop running a business to the pandemic? Please, I invite Miss Rati to answer a question.
Okay, first of all, after the pandemic, can you hear my voice? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
First of all, after the pandemic, all businesses must reevaluate all of their strategies. They have to evaluate what is left from their business because everyone has been through the wreckage, through the pandemic, through the wreckage, and everyone or all businesses are in pieces. So we have to reevaluate what do we have left? And from the wreckage of the things that we have left, what can we rebuild? How much asset we have, the employees that we have. Because you have to remember that during the pandemic, many people have lost their lives. It means that assets, human assets, are at loss. And then from all the wreckage, you have to mend the pieces together and reevaluate and re-strategize your business. And just remember, coming back to basics, all businesses, whether there is a pandemic or no pandemic, everyone must implement the 17 SDGs, because we have to remember that we have a global objective that is eliminate poverty. 2, we have to eliminate inequality, and we have to remember to always put forward the environment. So with all that put together, you have to strive to rebuild your business. Thank you.
Thank you to Miss Rati. Okay. Okay. Question number 2 in the chat column from Miss Ida Utari. Where we put the risk management in this case. Okay, I invite Dr. Hadita to answer the question, please. where we do put the risk management in this case. Okay, the question from Miss Ida Utari, student program doctorate, Universitas Bhayangkara. Okay, I invite Dr. Hadita to answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ida, for the questions. I try to answer your questions. As we know, the risk management process is a framework for the action that need to be taken. Of course, in this, as we know, the pandemics that there is unplanned situations that all the countries in the whole world get the pandemic. So we have to need to know about the risk management process as our framework for the actions that need to be taken, as I said before. And there are 5 basic steps that are taken to manage risks. The steps are referred to as the risk management process. It begins with identifying risks, and then goes on to analyze risk, and then the risk is prioritizing. So the last, no, not the last, a solution is implemented, and finally, the risk is monitored. In manual systems, its steps involve a lot of documentations and administration. So that's the short answer from me. Maybe another speakers can add the answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadita, for the answer. Okay, well, I seem that all the participants really enjoyed the presentation that delivered. So it looks like we will end it Q&A decision. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, I would like to thank to all the keynote speakers today who have provided a very extraordinary experience. Hopefully we can meet again on another occasion. Thank you. Be healthy, be original, be you. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. I will return to the extraordinary Master of Ceremony, Miss Alina.
All right, thank you, our moderator, for the second sessions of a very, very great sessions today. And again, to all honorable speakers and also moderator, would you please to kindly remain on your screen to receive virtual appreciation again as our token of appreciation. And I would like to invite the Vice Dean for the Academic at Faculty of Economic and Business, Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya University, Honorable Dr. Amor Marunda, as he AKMAK, to give this certificate of appreciation to all of our speakers in this second session. Dr. Amor, would you please to give the appreciation first for the honorable speakers, Dr. David Pangaribuan, SCMS,
Okay.
as Head of Accounting Master Study Program, Bhayangkara Jakarta Raya University.
Okay, thank you, Master of Ceremony, Ibu Alin, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Dean of Faculty of Economic and Business University, Bhayangkara University, I would like to present the certificate of participant as speaker as a token of appreciation. I'm present to the first speaker is Mr. Dr. David Pangaribuan, MSA. Close for appreciation. I'm present to the second speaker for Mrs. Ratih P. Kunoro, SAMM. Applause for Mrs. Ratih. And the last appreciation to Mrs. Dr. Hadita SAMM. Close for.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eri, as our Vice Dean for Student Affairs and Faculty of Economics, for giving the appreciation to all of our speakers today. And again, to like to stay for a while to allow us and committee capturing this nice moment. Thank you so much. Honorable speakers, webinar participants, ladies and gentlemen, as the closing ceremony, you're kindly requested to adjust accordingly to listen to our Indonesian national song, Bagimu Negeri. Thank you. Honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our international webinar today. Faculty of Economic and Business, Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. Thank you for all of your participations, and please accept our apologies for all inconvenience might happen during this event online. Keep up our spirit and let us hand in hand build a better human development through education. My name is Trialida Apriliana. Good afternoon to all of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and see you again.
Thank you, Prof. Siham.
Thank you to
Thank you,
our
Prof.
speaker, Prof.
Kurasi,
Siham.
Dr. Devi,
Congratulations.
Dr. Hadita, Dr. Amelia, everyone. Thank you to make this seminar wonderful. Thank you so much. We will send the certificate ASAP. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the keynote
Ramadan
speaker.
Karim.
Yang ikut aku makan bukan, Ki? Yang ikut makan sama Bu Dewi bukan? Yang waktu itu, yang sama yang datang sebelumnya. Hah? Itu, yang di mobilnya Bu Dewi. Ya, ya kan? Asik.
sampai kita tua, sampai jadi debu.